2D images are a lot easier to come by than 3D models. Luckily, it's not hard to turn a 2D image into a simple cookie-cutter style 3D model. With ZBrush, there's two ways to do it depending on whether you have a vector or bitmap piece of 2D art. So let's try it out. Okay, it doesn't matter what file we have open starting in ZBrush here, so I'm just going to open the plain old Dynamesh sphere. Let's start with a bitmap piece of clip art. I'm going to go up to Alpha and import a new file. In the exercise files folder for this video, under the import clip art folder, there's a PNG image, but we could open up a BMP, PSD, JPEG, TIFF, a whole bunch of different formats. But we'll just get this one here, aries.png. Okay, so you can see now that this image has been imported as an alpha here into our alpha palette. Now, what you can see right here is that it's making the black transparent and the white solid. So when we actually convert this into a cookie cutter shape, it's going to be the same way. Whatever is transparent here will be transparent in the 3D model. So what we need to do is invert this. So I'm going to click on inverse. So now it's just the other way around. And let's go down to Make 3D. There's a couple settings here I want to play with. One of the more important ones is Mesh Smooth. I'm actually going to turn that to 0. It's kind of an old smoothing function that hasn't been updated in a long time. It runs very slow. If you need to smooth this afterwards, I recommend, I'm just taking out the smooth brush and smoothing it, but the higher you crank this, it'll take a long time to process this, and even 10 will be very slow. So I like to leave that at 0. MRes, or the mesh resolution, I like to crank this up relatively high. We want to capture a lot of details out of this 2D image. So something around there should be good. If it's a very low complexity graphic, you could go lower. If it's extremely highly detailed, you could go even higher, but I'd say around 800 or 900 is a good middle ground. And then mdep is just the depth resolution. That's how thick the cookie cutter shape is going to be. You can always just scale it after you've made it, so it's not crucial, whatever you set that to. And then double-sided, you like to leave that on. It's easy to just cut it in half if you really only want half of it. So let's go ahead and click Make 3D. Okay, after a few seconds of processing, you can see we've got a 3D model here. I'm just going to zoom in here. Now, oddly, it does make it flipped upside down. That's easy enough to fix. We can just go into our Gizmo here and just rotate this. Oops. Actually, there's one thing to note about this. When it first creates these cookie cutter shapes, there's actually a mask on it, but the mask is hidden. So I'm going to hold down Control, click and drag in an open area to clear the mask. And now we'll try that one more time. Great, just holding down Shift so it snaps. And we've got our cookie cutter shape. Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's take a look now at another way to make this. And that's through the text plugin. So let's go up to Z plugin. And let's find text, 3D, and vector shapes. And what we want to do is click on New SVG. So here in the same exercise files import clip art folder, now we can see an SVG file in here. And the SVG file, it's a vector graphics format. So instead of using pixels, it uses clean, sharp lines. This is a kind of file that you can export from Illustrator. If you don't have the right format and you don't know how to export it, there's actually lots of services online. If you just search convert to SVG, there's websites that'll do it for free. So we've got this SVG file, and let's just open it up. And you can see actually much quicker, it creates this other file. So let's compare them side by side. Let me move one over. So pretty similar, not a big difference. There's actually a few settings we can use here to control the output of this. I'm going to hit Shift F to turn on its wireframe. And one thing we can do is go back to Z plugin, and we can change the resolution. So if we want sharper detail, there we got higher resolution. And we could even put a bevel on it if we wanted to. Let's try increasing the bevel resolution. And let's actually increase the curvature too. Okay, so if I hit Shift F to turn off wireframe, You can see that it's created those effects. The bevel has actually kind of puffed it out a little bit, so you may or may not want that effect. Let's try to do a lower bevel setting, so it's just a little hint of bevel. Okay, so if we zoom in, you can see that corner is kind of rounded now. Okay, so pretty simple, but this is a great way to get a quick 3D shape into ZBrush from a standard 2D graphic.